Hi guys, welcome to the East to West virtual bariatric meetup. It is August and we are talking about having fun in the sun. Thank you so much for joining us today. There are a ton of new faces, there are a ton of old friends. First and foremost, thank you guys for taking time out of your very busy day during what is probably one of the hottest seasons on record to learn and grow with us together. We very much appreciate you being here. If you just joined us and we're doing this live together, please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. If you're watching it, after the fact, it's all good. We're still happy that you are here. All right, you guys, I'm just going to move on through to our very first thing that we always do. So you guys probably know us by now, but I am April. My Instagram handle, my personal one is actively_April. I am the west of East to West. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy more than 2 years ago. I'm down 120 pounds and super excited to be a part of the community. I was actually talking with Stephanie, One Hungry Mother, today, and I was just reflecting on, I really think the reason I've been so successful is not because of the support that I got from my surgical center, but it's because of this community. If I stay engaged in the community every day, then I'm always putting what I need at the forefront of my brain, and I'm always really engaging in recovering, and the community just makes that a part of it. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way that I do, but I absolutely love the community and so happy to connect with you all. Jason, why don't you introduce yourself, and then Natalie, you will finish us off.
Yes, ma'am. I am Jason Smith. I am the East to West. I had vertical sleeve 17 months ago today, actually, is my my little partial surgiversary. So I'm down 186 pounds. Much like April, this community has been everything to me, for me, to get me through the success that I've had. My surgical center was like, hey, cool, we got your money, we cashed your check. All right, take it easy. You didn't die, so dope. Have a good one. And that was just basically it. Like, I had a couple of follow-ups and, they were just like, okay, cool. Thanks, man. And that was it. So, and I never saw my surgeon again after he initially operated on me and booted me the next day from the hospital. I never saw him again. The only way I saw him again was when I took my wife so that she could have her, her follow-ups and stuff, was when I actually met him again. So yeah, this community has literally been everything in my success. So I appreciate you guys daily because it keeps me on track and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because I can't tell you guys one thing and then me go off and do another. That's a little counterproductive. So it works for me tremendously. So like I always say, you guys help me just as much as I've ever helped any of you guys. So
Ruth. Thank you, friend.
Yes.
Miss Nat.
Yeah, I'm Natalie at Breaking Barriers on Instagram, and I live up in Seattle, not too far from April, which is amazing. We've seen each other very often, and it's made me very happy. Mm-hmm. I had BSG surgery September 28th of 2020, so I am 10 months, almost 11 months post-op. My year's in September. I'm so excited. And I've actually had 2 other bariatric surgeries that did not work. I had lap band when I was 16, or when I was 15-ish. And then the plication surgery, which is what I call like a pseudo sleeve, which is like they plicate. So they make it like a fan or an accordion, and then they sew it up so it's not permanent. And I had that when I was 18. Both of them failed me, and I waited 10 years, and here I am. I will echo April and Jason. I would not be where I am right now if it wasn't for all of you and this amazing community. The support that we get is just immeasurable. We do this for ourselves just as much as we do it for you guys. We need the support. We have questions. We need, help mentally and physically along the way just as much as you guys do. So these things are just really special to us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, you guys. We very much appreciate your support and your participation. So we always start off every VBM by going over our ground rules and our mission, just so we're all on the same page. So the reason that we hold these virtual bariatric meetups is pretty straightforward. We want to support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. We want to destigmatize bariatric surgery. We want to grow a community of and for bariatric patients. And we want a safe place to share ideas and experiences and just learn and grow from each other. So that's the whole point of the virtual bariatric meetup. Pretty simple. Some simple ground rules. Always assume best intent. Share whatever you are comfortable sharing with publicly. We will stop recording and we'll hang out for a couple minutes when it's done. If you would like to ask or share something and you just don't feel comfortable yet doing so, that opportunity will be coming up later. We're not here to sell you anything. It's no sales. It's literally just community support. If your camera's on, right, please remain fully clothed. We won't tolerate any violence or isms. You guys, if you know me, I swear like a sailor, I really try to keep it in check, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And I guess probably the biggest thing, this is not medical advice. This is just bariatric patients hanging out with other bariatric patients. So if you were going to change anything about your medical bariatric life, always consult your doctors, physicians, and nurses. Okay, I think I did it. Let's get
I think you did it.
Oh, let's get to the good stuff, you guys. First and foremost, huge thank you to our partners and our Patreons. There are a ton of patrons that are here tonight. Thank you guys so much for your support. You literally like help us keep the Zoom lights on. It's the best thing in the world. We could not do it without you. And the reason that we're growing and expanding in the way that we are, as some of you guys already know about, is because of you. So we very much appreciate your support. There are 3 other local companies to Natalie and I that support East to West. It's Gather Juice in Tacoma. It's Retreat Drinks, which is the most amazing hot cacao beverage you have ever had in your life. You can order it online. They ship it nationally. And then Grit City Chiropractic here in Tacoma. So if you live locally, swing by, tell them thank you, or send them a quick message on Instagram and just thank them for their support, because they too help us do all of this, which is a lot. So thank you to everybody who makes this happen. All right, here's our agenda for today. So we realize that when we make this big change to have bariatric surgery, sometimes our friends and family aren't on board, not because they don't support us, but because they just don't understand. And sometimes they just straight up don't support us. So we're going to talk about how we can kind of onboard friends and family over the summer months when we're probably seeing them more. COVID restrictions have lifted, right? The weather's nice. We're just out and around people, and that can be a little bit discomforting. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about how we can have movement fun, mindset fun, and metabolic wellness fun, right? These are kind of like our 3 pillars of success. And then we're going to open it up just for help. If you would like some help, if you're struggling with something, if you have a question, there's just this big wide open space there for you to ask and to get the support that you need. And then we always wrap up with a reflection and then let you know what is coming up. The really important thing to remember about this, you guys, always feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Always feel free to type something in the chat. If something like pops into your brain, unmute yourself. We're here for each other. So don't feel like you always have to stay muted. This is your time. This is your space. So please chime in if you feel comfortable. We welcome the participation. Okay, good to go?
Yep.
All right. So I've been turned on to this book, and I got to tell you guys, it is, Natalie, Steph, and Katie all have said, April, you have to read this book. So I really wanted to share some quotes that are coming out of this book, because here's what I'm kind of starting to understand, is that there's always fun things coming up in life. There's always vacations. There's always hot weather. There's always the beach. There's always these things that I want to do. But if I keep saying yes to all of the fun and no to aligning it to my bariatric journey, I'm not going to find success. I'm at the point where I will regain weight, and I don't want that to happen. So this book, Everything is Figureoutable, is really just helping me understand I can figure this out. There's some tools that I don't quite have yet to do so, but I can get there. So this quote really spoke to me today, and it just says, in order to solve any problem or achieve any dream, we must first make change at the level of belief, because when you change a belief, you change everything. And why that's resonating with me right now is I used to think I couldn't have fun without food and alcohol. I couldn't have fun if food wasn't at the center of what I was doing. And that's a belief that I had and kind of still have. And I need to change that belief if I want to live at my happy, healthy weight. So that really just helps me kind of get into the mind frame of I can still have fun. I can still live my life to the fullest. Food doesn't have to be at the center of it. And I'm not going to miss out on anything because food is not at the center of it. So that's really kind of what our theme is for August. Is what we really want to talk about today. Yeah, so if this is going to resonate with you, maybe let us know in the comments, or you can unmute yourself and let us know if there's something that you're struggling with when it comes to kind of food and fun. That is.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was talking about that with you guys the other day, that you're talking about, being afraid of missing out on the fun of stuff by having food involved. And I realized at my niece's birthday party a couple of weekends ago that it was the exact opposite for me, because usually we hang out outside, but the food is inside. And I used to make excuses to stay inside around the food and just eat my way through the party while they were all outside having a good time. And what I figured out this time by going this year to her party was I didn't go inside. I stayed outside the entire day. I was only inside when everybody else was inside, because I was helping put stuff out or helping put stuff up. And so by doing that, by taking myself out of the situation where I was surrounded by all the food and just worried about that, I was able to actually enjoy the party and actually interject myself in all the things that were going on. We were playing games, we were swimming, we were just hanging out, talking, and just having a good time. And I was able to do that in every area of the party and never once worried about food at all. And to me, that was way more amazing than the whole time spending out inside, looking out the window, watching everybody have fun while I was sitting there plowing all the food in my face before everybody got back inside.
That's so interesting, Jason. I was really thinking about that today, because one of the tricks that I use, when I'm in those types of situations and I'm worried about how I'm going to behave around the food, is I purposely move myself away from it. And if I'm at somebody's house, I won't volunteer to help with food prep or bartending. It's like, what, that's not a safe place for me right now. So you totally did. I mean, one of the things that we always recommend to people, which is you just take yourself away from the food when you are, when you're in those situations.
Yeah, and I only helped put out stuff strategically that I could eat and it be okay. So I helped with the charcuterie stuff, because I could grab a little bit of lunch meat, some cheese, and then roll out. After I got done helping set everything, scoop some stuff on a plate, and then went outside.
Yeah.
And once I was outside, I only could eat what was on my plate, which I knew was a safe amount.
Yeah.
And then once I was done, I just set my plate down, and then I carried on throughout the day. And then when it was time to put everything up, I did the same exact thing. I went in and put up what I got out. Yep. And same thing with just another little helping of it, and was done for the day. So it helped. It helped a lot. And my mind just was not bogged down by worrying about how much food is left, how much food I'm going to eat, if anybody's going to see how much food I'm taking in versus how much food, anybody else is eating. Like, all that stuff was just gone. Yeah. And it was probably the clearest mindset that I've had at a party. But at the same time, it was a kind of a reckoning for me, because I didn't realize how much of my brain was taken up by that in previous times, because I just always thought that's how it was supposed to be. Like, I was just constantly worried about how much food was left, if I was going to be full, if I was going to eat enough, if I could grab enough before other people did. And it just was, once that was gone, I kind of took inventory of how I would have felt versus how I did feel. And I got to say that the mental weight loss was probably as much as the physical weight loss. And that was pretty eye-opening for me.
That's amazing. Do any of you guys hear your own story and Jason's story? Is any of this resonating with you right now? I see some heads shaking up and down. Anybody want to share? It's okay if you don't, but I can outweight anybody. FYI, I've been a teacher for 15 years. I will wait for that answer. Don't push me.
Right.
Well, let's talk about onboarding friends and family, right? Because I know that, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, when we decide to undergo the change of bariatric surgery, it can be triggering for other people. Because if we make the commitment to change, what it's proving to them is that, oh, well, maybe I could change too, right? So it can put people in some awkward situations. We kind of coined it as the outsider syndrome, right? All of a sudden, you're the one that's doing something different. You're the one that's eating differently or drinking differently or engaging differently because you've chosen to live a different life. And that can just make people really uncomfortable. And it's not you, it's them. Like, truly, it is them. But when we're in these social situations and we're really trying to make changes for ourselves, sometimes we get caught between, I want to be a different person or I am a different person, and then I'm still being called back, right, by that old person that I am. And that can be a real struggle, especially in the summer months when we're drinking and eating probably more so than we normally do. And like eating different foods, right? Now, I know that you've been talking about this a lot lately. You've been doing things with your family that you only do in the summer, and only certain foods are there at those events, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how have you been kind of onboarding your friends and family and dealing with that?
Well, luckily, I mean, with my family, especially, I talked about this before, but like our 4th of July deal, everyone is basically assigned dishes that they have to bring. So I wasn't like super able to just say, no, I'm not going to bring that because XYZ. It's kind of like your contribution, as we don't have to pay for board or anything like that. It's kind of like the family's way of chipping in, if you will.
Yep.
And so with my family, it's not so much of a big deal, but with my friends, it's been a little bit more challenging. Like over the weekend, I went on a weekend trip, a long weekend. And, you know, my girlfriends, they are aware of my situation, but one of them brought one of their partners, and he's a guy and he can put away a lot of food. And, you know, when they get hungry, they just grab something and eat. And I kind of had to set some boundaries and be like, hey, I'm bringing beef jerky and I'm bringing these things so that I have them like as a backup. I don't care if you have some of it, but like try not to eat all of it. And it was awkward because I don't know him very well. I mean, I've met him a handful of times. I like him. He's a great person, but you know, to have to set that boundary was very hard for me because I'm not that person. I'm not usually that person that says, no, you can't do this. I don't like doing that. I'm a people pleaser. So that was very difficult. Obviously, he was like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. Like, it didn't bother him. But of course, I'm like shaking as I am like, could you please not eat all of my jerky? You know, it's like so silly to us, you know, to stand up for ourselves. But yeah, just trying to like set those boundaries and be like, I am bringing this mostly for me. I'm not going to eat all of it because I can't. But I just say, like, this is why I'm bringing this, because this is something I know I could eat. If you can at least make sure I have a couple portions, that would be awesome.
Yep.
And just kind of leaving it at that.
That's a really good point. I never would have thought about that. But yeah, it is kind of awkward to bring food like for the communal pot, so to speak. And then you're like, ooh, but I actually need that really for me. And here's why. And sometimes you don't want to explain the reason why. You just want to say, like, that's mine. I need to eat that without, you know, having.
Yeah, and I have like protein waters that do look like Gatorade and stuff like that. And I was like, I brought enough to where if everyone wanted one to try it, they could have it. Yeah. But I was like, but I brought like 10 so that I had enough for myself, you know? And so drawing that boundary and making sure like, hey, you can have some, but this is really for me. Like making that a statement and just kind of leaving it at that is a really good way. And it's hard. I mean, like I said, my heart was racing. I was like, you barely know me as a person. But I would really, and say it like, I would really appreciate it if you like left me X amount or whatever. Yeah. I don't know how you want to say it, but.
Oh yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, and that's kind of like under that how to prepare section, you guys, it says, come armed with your canned statements. And that was really kind of what you did, Nat, right? Like you
Yeah.
thought ahead of time about like, hey, here's how I'm going to ask people to make sure that, you know, they're saving me, you know, this food that I'm bringing. You had to think about that in advance, right? You kind of came prepared with this statement that you could just bust out when somebody asked or said something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we've always recommended that here at East to West, when people have questions about like, well, how do I let my friends and family know, or how do I deal with these situations that may be awkward, or questions that are coming at me? If we have canned statements, so these are sentences that we have practiced and practiced and practiced on our own, but are truthful for us. When these situations arise and we kind of feel that anxiety raising in us a little bit, we can go to these statements that we've already practiced and we already know are true for us, and just let them fly. And it's really empowering for us, because these canned statements can either invite a conversation if you would like to talk about it, or shut down a conversation if you don't want to talk about it. So it can be a really powerful tool that we can have in our toolbox to help us navigate these situations that maybe are a little bit uncomfortable. So then the other ways that we recommend is that, right, just go to these events with the things that you know that you need or that you want. Water, snacks, right, food with you, so that you can eat it when you need to eat it, not on other people's schedules, right? That sometimes throws us off if we wait and wait and wait to eat with other people, and then, right, it just kind of blows the whole event, because now we're starving and now we're worried about that instead of, you know, the reason that we're there. We always recommend like bring potluck style dishes that you know are bariatric friendly, so you know there's always something there for you to enjoy. And that's another way to connect with people and onboard people, right? That's showing them, oh, I can eat what you eat. I'm just going to have a smaller portion, right? It's a safer way to kind of let people know that there's nothing wrong with you, you know, that everything's fine. We also recommend hang out with the kids, you guys. The kids are probably doing the fun stuff anyways. And if you don't want to have these conversations, or if you want to avoid the food, or if you just want to de-center food, go hang out with the kids. They're doing the fun stuff. Go have fun with them. And then just don't volunteer to cook or bartend, right? If it's not safe for you, if you don't feel comfortable, do not volunteer. You don't owe anybody a thing when it comes to that stuff. I don't know who I was talking to, but today, sometimes, you know, we feel bad because we have to be selfish along this journey. But being selfish isn't a bad thing. Being selfish means that you're looking out for yourself. And if you don't look out for yourself, nobody else will. So it's not a bad thing. You're just advocating for what you need, and you're making sure that you have what you need to have fun. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Our society's kind of taught us that it's a little bit wrong, but it's not. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I mean it's the self-advocation that we go through on this journey. I mean, it never stops. Like you need to become an advocate for yourself always. And that's gonna look different depending on what the situation is. It's going to be whether you're advocating at your doctor's office isn't going to be the same when you're advocating to your friends, which won't be the same when you're advocating to your parents. But you still have to, whatever the situation looks like, you still have to be prepared to stand up and do that for yourself, because no one else is going to. Like, until you start having those difficult conversations to begin with, and other people are in on that situation, they can begin to do that for you ahead of time in certain, areas and places and times. But more than likely, you'll always run up against a situation where you'll have to do that. So being prepared to do those, to have those conversations is only going to make things better and easier, because like Natalie said, you build it up as much as you want to in your head, but it's never as bad as it seems once you actually have it.
Yeah. No, tends not to be.
And April, I wouldn't mind piggybacking on what Jason said. I'm like, he's saying everything that is in my head right now. And I totally get this. The being your own advocate is so huge. I'm a little over a year out, and I kind of have a pretty outgoing personality, if you didn't know that already. But so I'll walk in, like we had a bridal shower Saturday for one of my daughters, and I walked in and I had my little bag and it had my food in it, and I'm obnoxious kind of, so I'm like, hey, this is my bag of food, stay out of it, because all you guys have all those carbs, I can't eat that stuff. or I'm choosing not to eat it, right? And they're like, fine, we know you've had weight loss surgery. We've heard about it, you know? And I'm like, well, stay out of my snacks, you know? And so I think if you just kind of make light of it too, you know, like, hey, hands off, those are mine, you know, or like Nat said, bring enough for everybody, you know, and like I knew it was going to be all carbs at this thing. And we have 5 daughters, and one of them's like, well, I'm trying to eat low carb, and mom's had that surgery, you know, she talks about all the time. She's like, so she made like these keto, like prosciutto cups, and they were amazing. And everybody wanted that over like the biscuits and the scones. But being your own advocate, I think, is huge to be successful. And it's also, we talk about self-care, and that is self-care, you know, saying what you need and having the people around you know what you mean and what you need. And if you're around people that don't care what you need, or they're not supportive of it, I mean, you're around the wrong people. Yep. You know, I mean, I think so. I mean, we have to surround ourselves with like-minded people, and people that are going to support us on our journey, not bring us down. And I've lost 2 friends now, really good friends, decade friends, because I've had surgery. And I'm really not, I don't want to say I'm the same person. I'm not the same person. Thank God I'm not the same person, or I, you know, still be sick. And, you know, I'm down over 200 pounds, and like I was 400 and some pounds. I wasn't going to live very long, you know? So if they don't like it, you know, they can go, and we got to surround ourselves with people that support us. Anyway, I could go on about that forever. So somebody else can talk.
One thing that I've learned that when we got together with our family was my family wants you to try food that they made or they cooked or they like. And so they were like, you need to try this if it's a sweets or whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. No, thank you. And they'll be like, but I thought you could eat anything, because technically we can eat anything. We can put anything in our mouths, but it's not the best choice. And so you're always having to stand up for yourself or advocate for yourself to say, yes, I can eat anything, but I'm choosing not to have cake or donuts or whatever, whoever Aunt Sally made that is so delicious. And no, just one bite is not even on my radar. I don't even want it on the radar, because that can be a slippery slope. And so it's hard sometimes, especially with family members. I mean, if it was strangers or friends, you can kind of push them off and say, no, I don't want it. And I think they understand more than family does. Or at least that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like in that situation, and I just said in the chat, I don't have food pushers in my life. We're all kind of eat it or don't, like fend for yourself kind of a thing. But I mean, I think in those instances, that would be a good challenge for you, Stacy, is just say, look, I don't want it. I'm sure it's delicious. It looks beautiful, but I do not want it right now. Maybe next year, or maybe, you know, next event. You know, because some of these things, I mean, you're pretty new out of surgery, and like those things, like someone just said, one bite can send you over. One bite can send you into dumping. And you can tell them that, like, hey, if I have this, as delicious as it is, you know, it might make me sick, and I don't want to risk that right now. I'm really enjoying having a really good time with you, and I just don't want to ruin it by getting sick.
Yeah, I'm going to visit a friend. It's like I have to drive 4 hours to get there this tomorrow morning. And she said the other day, she's like, is it bad that I'm planning everything around food? And I was like, it's not bad, but here's my ground rules. Like,
yeah,
for me, it has to be a minimum of every 2 hours. Like, I have to get protein, and we need to go and walk, or we need to move if we're going to be doing stuff. Right. And I was like, that's all. Like, it's not, I think people, I find that either you don't feel guilty, but they kind of still carry this like, oh, should I be more sensitive around you if you have food? And so I just always release that from them because it's my problem, not theirs. And that actually for me, I have found it made a lot easier. Like if I go away with my mom, she's like, okay, you help me plan the meals, which is great. So we take turns. But I also relieve the stress of like, if you want to plan something, I will find something that works for me in that, you know, like I always say that too, like, okay, let's choose something. I will read the menu before we go and I will find something that works for me instead of, and I think it's really helpful to release the responsibility from your friends and family. And that makes it a bit of an easier relationship with the change because they still don't really understand. They don't necessarily even understand the amount that you can and can't eat too, right? Or how quickly you can eat. Like you just had dinner doesn't mean that you can follow up with like a piece of fruit for dessert. You know what I mean? Like, so they just don't really understand. But yeah, for me, I have found if I have released that responsibility and that worry for them to stress about me, and I take the responsibility because it's a me problem, not a them problem, that has definitely helped in situations where there's like food coming up in like a trip or something like that. And then they end up trying to be more helpful. They're like, oh, well, like, what can you do if it's not my responsibility?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up though, about the dessert thing too, because we had like a family event over the 4th of July again, and we all had this big prime rib dinner. Of course, I only ate like some prime rib and like a side, whatever, but I was full. I was like, all right, I'm satisfied, I'm good. My mom was like, I'm full, you know, and then they're like, all right, we're bringing out the dessert. And my mom's like, God, I wish they would have waited. Like, you know, because it's a society thing. Okay, as soon as dinner is done, you have dessert. And I said, you don't have to eat dessert right now. It's going to be there in an hour. It's going to still be sitting there on the table. And I think that, you know, we're aware like, oh, you don't have to eat everything all at once. You can actually help other people in your life kind of come to terms, because I think we as a society all have kind of a messed up way of eating, messed up thinking about food. And so, yeah, just by being firm and standing your ground, like you could actually help other people too.
Yeah, I've noticed one of the things, like Christy was saying, is, you know, letting people in on what you can and can't do is more of an educational situation versus getting stuck in a situation where it becomes kind of more awkward than it really should be. Because the majority of the time I have found it's really just a lack of knowledge about what we've been through, what we can and can't do, but, you know, much like Christy said. So kind of bringing it in an educational way early enough takes them out of that, because a lot of times when people feel awkward, they kind of get a little defensive and it can turn into something maybe that it shouldn't be. And if you hit it early enough and, you know, like, you know, she said, let them in on the planning of things like that and kind of building everything around what you can and can't do, but also releasing them from the, you know, from the liability of it all, it really helps. It really will help in those situations. That's also how I've approached it and found.
So Jason, this is Amy. I just want to kind of build on that a little bit. I had a huge, I guess you'd call it a family reunion this past weekend. And there were many family members that I had not seen since before COVID. And I have an aunt who knows that I love cookies. And there's a certain cookie that my grandma, her mom, used to make me. And so the place where we were having the reunion, like all these things were nostalgic. I even made like grandma's caramel popcorn, knowing I wasn't going to have any. It was really for everybody else in nostalgic, the nostalgic piece of it. However, my aunt had the same thought and brought these cookies and was like, Amy, I made sure, I know when you were younger, grandma used to make these and they were your favorite thing on the planet. I'm so excited. I even have your own sandwich bag to take home with you.
Oh, no.
And it was really hard, but I said to her, you know, Aunt Charlene, you're so wonderful. That just means the world to me. I'm so touched. However, I have to donate that bag of cookies to somebody else. I have made a commitment to myself to give up baked goods. Baked goods are not good for me. I'm trying really hard in the gym. I'm trying really hard to watch what I eat. I love the idea that you did that, and it just melts me. However, there's a commitment to myself, and I've made it, and I'm sticking with it, and I know I can do it. I am one strong woman, and this is just one more step that shows to myself that I'll be fine. But thank you so much. However, there's my little 10-year-old sister. Give them to her.
That's
But
amazing.
so I
I
take the power away from them, and I collect that power and say, I've made the commitment to myself. That way, it doesn't make her feel bad. It's that, I acknowledge the great thing she did, but I put the worry and the problem back on myself. I did this for myself. I love that you did this for me. However, I've made a commitment to myself, and it also makes me feel better at the end of the night because I didn't break that seal and have that baked good that's going to lead to 75 more, or the caramel popcorn on the car on the way home.
I don't know how you managed to make that, have that sitting there, and you didn't eat any.
It was tough. Nope.
Wow.
Nope.
High five to you, because
I've made
you
a commitment to
pulled all of that.
myself.
You did, and that's
made a commitment.
fantastic. That whole thing is amazing that you were able to do that and articulate it in such a way to diffuse the situation where it did not get out of hand and hurt somebody's feelings. So that is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to note this in our day planners today. Thank you, Amy, for inviting us to your first TED Talk.
Yes.
Yes.
Mic dropped.
Yes.
WWE belt, mic drop, slow clap, TED Talk.
You're all worth it. You can make the same commitment to yourselves. You are totally worth it. And you're already doing it. You just might not have acknowledged it yet.
Well,
one day at a time, one pushback at a time. That's all it takes.
Damn.
And it gets easier every time you make.
It
every
does.
time you choose you, it will get easier the next time you have that decision to make. You choose yourself again, and the more you do, it gets easier.
Yep.
And there are days when I'm dying and I really, really want something. I just posted on Instagram yesterday or the day before. I found a recipe and I was like, okay, I've made a ton of sweetbreads for my entire family because zucchini is plentiful right now.
Rampant.
I make it. I can't have it. I choose not to have it. I can, but I choose not to have it. So I end up going ahead and I made my own rendition of a chocolate peanut butter banana waffle in the dash. That's totally within reason, within my plan. And it's amazing. It's so flavorful. Way better than that calorie laden zucchini bread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming. I don't know what else.
And we're done.
Nothing else we can say could match that, so we're going to shut it down. And Amy will run the next one. And
sign it off.
That is so powerful, Amy.
Wow.
There's so many things about that are useful and powerful and meaningful. Holy
it's
shit.
all the support from everybody here that makes it possible, because there are days.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has them, and the way to go back at it is to come right back here and find your friends and just put it out there, and someone's going to come and share the love and give you some support. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Invaluable.
Ain't that the truth? Holy shit.
thanks, Andy. Have a good one. Diana has a question.
Yeah, go for it, Diana.
First of all, I'm very thankful to be a part of this meeting, and listening to all the different input from people really helps me recognize stuff that I can change or how I handle the situation, and it all helps. So I'm glad I got back in touch with East West. I was thinking about a couple of things, but I think the one that stands out the most is how to handle going to a potluck. And what I find myself doing is I eat very, very light, as in the beginning days after surgery, and make sure I get enough protein in, because I know what's going to end up happening is I go to these potlucks. But I do behave and just stick to seeing what kind of vegetable things they've made. And so that helps. And I even actually took myself to a potluck by myself because my husband was out of town. So that was a big deal, because I used to not want to go by myself if that was the option, because I was embarrassed. I felt like, wow, I'm just this massive, I just had a lot of esteem problems. But I think that's it, because I think if I kept going, I'd really take up too much time.
Well, Diana, we appreciate your feedback, and we appreciate that you are here, because as Amy said, it takes all of us, right? Somebody says one thing and that's the thing that, right, set you off. So, and it's funny, you guys should be talking about that. So metabolic wellness was the last thing that we're going to talk about, but we've kind of been focusing on food. So let's just talk briefly about how we can de-center food, right? Not that it's going away, but it's just not going to be, as Jason says, like the main course of our fun, right? So we have to remember that eating right can and is fun. We just are not used to eating right in that way, right? So again, this is a belief that we can change in ourselves. We can believe that eating right is fun and that we feel good when we do it. We all have had that experience where we've overeaten or we've eaten garbage, too much sugar, too much fill in the blank, and you pay the price. That's not fun. It's the actual opposite of fun, right? So how we can kind of get out of that unfun place and get to a new fun place is doing all of the things that we've already just talked about. But we can really look for new recipes that kind of tantalize our taste buds, that fit within our macro budget, and that we can share with others, because that does a lot of different things. It diffuses the situation, it lets people know that the food that we eat is the food that they eat, and it's a way for us to kind of have fun in the kitchen and reconnect. So some metabolic wellness fun ideas that we have is really make the swaps. So look for healthier alternatives, more bariatric friendly things that you can swap in to your old traditional recipes. That's like an easy no-brainer one to go to. And almost everything now can be swapped, right? So that's an easy thing. Splitting meals is like a godsend for me. And sometimes people don't want to split meals, and that's okay. I'm just going to order off the child's menu, or I'm going to order a smaller portion, or I'm just going to order something and throw food away. But splitting meals is a win-win. You get to enjoy the meal and possibly save a little money at the same time. Talk yourself out of overeating. So we just provided you with like a little sentence stem of how this works. And we've probably all experienced this, right? So when you are faced with food that you really want to eat more of, you can kind of have this conversation with yourself in your head. I always say like, oh my God, that was so delicious. I wish I could have more, but I'm full and I'm happy right now. If I keep eating, I'll be stuffed and miserable. Do I want to feel that way? No, I don't. What did I enjoy most about those bites? Oh, this reminds me of. So I use this technique to get me out of thinking and obsessing about the food that I'm not eating. And it gets me in the mindset of kind of going back into my history, or, oh, I remember the last time I had this meal, I was blah, 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 at a beach in Maui, and that was so wonderful, right? So it's a way that we can lower our anxiety and our panic, because it removes us from that, oh my God, I'm missing out brain, to, oh, remember when, different memory, not necessarily food related, if that makes sense. So those are kind of our suggestions for metabolic wellness, right? And then the other thing that I really wanted to share with you, we're excited about this, because food, again, right, we're not going to not enjoy food. All of these things are hyperlinks, you guys, and I will make sure, maybe in the chat, I will add this presentation to the chat so that you can open it on your own computer and you can click on all of these links. But these are our favorite go-to bariatric friendly meals and drink ideas that you can try this summer, you can share with your friends and family, and have fun in your kitchen again without feeling that guilt or shame when it comes to eating things that you shouldn't, right? Because as we've all said, I can eat anything. I'm choosing to eat certain things right now. And these things all fall within what most bariatric patients can choose to eat. And then there's 3 cookbooks there, you guys, that Nat and I swear by no crumbs left. I sleep with it under my pillow. That's how much I love that freaking book.
It's so good.
So good. You guys know our obsession with Terry Turner and No Crumbs Left. I recently found a new cookbook when we were up in Orcas Island, and it's called Graze. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's like a small bites charcuterie book that has some amazing healthy recipes in it. I'm so excited to start cooking from it. So I highly recommend that. And then one of Grady's favorite cookbooks, and I think, I don't know if Jason has this or not, but Franklin Barbecue, amazing barbecue ideas. I highly recommend you guys check those out. So
yeah, Aaron Franklin's barbecue, everything about Aaron Franklin's barbecue is amazing.
Right? Amazing. Amazing. So I will make sure that you guys have this, because these recipe, you guys, and I just discovered you could do ribs in the slow cooker. What?
Oh, hell yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. I did not know that was a thing.
Was that Eric? Because he was over.
It was. Yeah, you were there now. I was like, what?
I didn't get to taste the ribs, but I was there.
Just don't put liquid smoke on them. That's all I ask. Please don't.
Oh, no. Smoke it
Please,
for
please
real.
don't.
All right, you guys, we are already down to like less than 15 minutes. This is like the story of our life. Jeez. I mean, I can, but I can't. Jason, explain to us quickly. I showed this picture when we were talking about onboarding friends and family, but I'm pretty sure this is just an example of how you prepare to be on the road or interacting with people and make sure that you're always prepared.
Yes. For the Parmesan wisps, those things are so rich that I know I can have like 4 of those at a time, and that's about all I can stomach, and then those have to go back away. There's really not that many of them in a bag, so I know I can usually get about 3 or 4 servings out of a bag if I split them up that way. Those Tramino drinks that we tried on live have been amazing.
Amazing.
So I've been using those as part of my supplement for my protein throughout the day. I still start the day with the little protein shake there, my little 11 ouncer. So I always start with those. And then my protein bars that I just can't give up. Those are my Aldi protein bars. They've changed packages, but those are still the business. And then I've recently started using almonds as well, raw almonds as kind of a snack alternative. And I promise you now, it does not take that many almonds, and you are beyond full. You can be, I don't care how hungry you are, 3 or 4 almonds, and you're not hungry anymore at all.
You are good to go. Yeah, and you do a good job, Jason, of always preparing yourself for kind of whatever's going to come your way.
Yes, because I've been caught in situations early on, and actually later on too, when I did not, because circumstances changed while I was out, and I just was not prepared for it. And I remember what that felt like and how long it took me to get back on the right side of feeling that way. So from now, anytime I leave the house, if it's going to be anything more than running to the store down the street that I know is just a there and back situation, I pack a bag. And at least most of the stuff you see sitting here is in that bag, because I have a cooler bag that unzips, and it's maybe like a little quart cooler bag. And I've got enough of the little freezer things you freeze that keep everything cool. Throw one of those in the bottom. I put all this stuff out of the refrigerator and the almonds in there, and I go. That way I know no matter what happens, even if I have to come home and put it all back in the refrigerator and back in the cabinet, at least it's there. I mean, I have it in case I need it, and I'd rather have it and not need it than is to need it and not have it. So,
agreed. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for sharing that. I'm going to try to move us through a little bit quickly, because I think we've talked about mindset so much. We'll skip that slide, but again, I will make sure that you guys get this slide so you have the whole presentation, and we'll also post a link in our bio too on Instagram. I thought this was a really great quote, you guys, because it speaks directly to me, and I probably will to you as well. Shirley Crisbaum said, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." So we have to stop being afraid of, what's going to happen if I say no to that, and just say no, right? Or we just have to try it once to see what it felt like, or to see what it was like. But more likely than not, we're more scared of the thing than actually doing it. And once we just do it, we realize we can do it, and sky's the limit. So I really like that quote. Now I'm super excited to talk about this, because you and I both have had some movement victories this summer. Yes. We can have fun by moving our bodies. And for many of us, that is a brand new concept. Jason is having a ton of fun in the gym. Nat and I have been very active in our bathing suits this summer. So we want to talk about how we can really embrace movement as something that is fun. So right now, you guys, in the chat, I would love everybody to type one thing movement related that you would like to do this summer or this year or in your lifetime. What's a one thing that you really want to move your body in doing? Tell us in the chat. Kayaking, hike a peak. Oh, water skiing, paddleboarding. Oh my gosh, you guys. Start swimming again. A good hike.
Rock climbing.
Oh my God, rock climbing.
It's a good one. Kickboxing.
Oh, treadmill, Jason. Oh, kiteboarding.
I'm gonna run. My issue with the thing that's keeping me from running in the gym, and I almost did it yesterday, but the last time I was on a treadmill and tried to do that, I don't remember how heavy I was, but I would stop the belt. With the force that I would come down on, the belt would stop. And I'm not falling in front of all those people, because there ain't enough people there to pick my big ass up when I fall down. So I'm not doing that in front of God and everybody. So it really is hard for me to actually make, like, I mean, I've got long legs, so I walk fast anyway. So I'm usually at 3.5 miles an hour while I'm on the treadmill, just walking. So it's really close to a run anyway. So I could really kind of start jogging, but I'm like, I'm not trying to stop the belt and have everybody looking at me because I fell off and hit the wall. Because usually there's like water fountains and stuff behind me, and I'm like, I'm not trying to run into the water fountain. It'll be a whole thing. It'll be on YouTube, and I'm not trying to have that.
So the reason we wanted you to put this in the chat, and the reason that we shared that other quote, is the only way that you're going to know is if you try it. So we challenge you this summer or the rest of this year to do that one thing that your body is wishing you would do, right? Get your body in motion and do the things that you want to do. Nat did it this summer, Jason's done it this summer, and I've done it this summer, and it has been empowering. If kayaking or paddleboarding is on your list, and there's a ton of people there, absolutely do it, you guys. Call your local rental shop. Tell them exactly this. I have never kayaked or paddleboarded before. I weigh this much. I would like a lesson. Can you help me fulfill this bucket list item? They will be thrilled to help you. Just go do it, you guys. Do not be afraid to share your weight. Do not be afraid to share that you are brand new at it. You are going to love it. Natalie, why don't you share your first kayaking experience with them?
Stephanie and I went over to April's house. I don't even know when it was, May.
Yeah, months.
Earlier this summer, and I had said, I've never been kayaking, and April jumped on that like quicker than I've ever seen anyone jump on anything. And in addition to being bigger for the majority of my life, I have really bad eyesight. And so my depth perception, I have it, but it's not great. I get really nervous when I'm not fully balanced or when I feel like I'm uneasy. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, now's the time, because I trust April and Stephanie, and her dad was like right there too. So I knew if anything happened, like I was safe, right? And I tried it, and we went around the entire Gig Harbor, and it was just amazing. I have not stopped thinking about it. And then a couple weekends ago, we were up at April's lake house, and we did it again, and it was great. And I mean, I'm not the best at it. I'm still learning, but it is so much fun, and it's so empowering to just do those things that you never thought you could ever do.
And it is fun. I can't tell you guys how much fun lives in just moving your body in ways that you've always wanted to do it. It's very empowering. It's very freeing. And even if, you're not going to be perfect. You are a beginner at whatever this movement is, but everybody starts out as a beginner. Don't let that deter you from doing the movement that you want to do, because there are people out there, there are products out there that will make it happen for you. If hiking is on your list, you guys, don't fear about that either. It's outdoor walking, okay? It's outdoor walking. So don't let the word hiking throw you off. Go to Google and type in Creaky Knees hike around me. Creaky Knees hikes, you guys, are great. They're low impact. They're not very steep. They're designed for people that maybe have limited mobility, or, right? It's just, they're not strenuous outdoor walks. Definitely check out Creaky Knees, or Google low impact hiking near me for awesome, accessible hikes around you. get out there and do it. And then of course, Beachcomb, you guys, that's the best, one of my favorite ways to get in movement. You get to look for buried treasures. You get to be on the beach and do all kinds of fun things, right?
Mhm.
So here's a picture of Nat living her best life, swimming this summer. And there's a picture of me on my paddleboard at Summit Lake. Go do the fun things, guys. Go do it.
Jeremy's doing kickboxing. That's cool. I want to start that up here. I did it in Oklahoma, but I haven't done it since I've moved to Florida, and it's been about 6 years. So I really want to try that.
Oh, excellent,
Yeah.
Katie.
I was gonna mention though about All Trails, definitely read the reviews, because sometimes they'll label a hike as easy or moderate, and it's actually very difficult. So just make sure that if you are looking on All Trails, I have that same app. And I've done a couple of hikes that said they were easy, but they were actually not my skill level yet. So look at the pictures, do your research, but I love All Trails too.
Awesome. I think I'll leave us with this final quote. There are two kinds of people in the world, those with reasons and those with results. Let's be the ones with results, because we are all very smart, capable humans. All right, you guys, as always, you know that I have like 8 billion things to present and out of time. Shocker there. So real quickly, let's reflect. And we would also love to know your takeaways. So did you get out of today what you were hoping? Are you leaving with something new, valuable, or helpful? You can unmute
Yes.
or write it in the comments. Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you,
Of course.
Diana. Yeah, and Jeremy
Jeremy.
and Mackenzie, this is your first time joining us. What did you think? I see thumbs up from Mackenzie. Awesome. Jeremy, I saw it. Saw your thing.
I loved it. It was really great. I'm super pumped now.
Good.
It was awesome.
Boom, boom, boom. We're a very kind group of humans. So hopefully you'll come hang out with us more.
100%.
Hey.
Woohoo! So is everybody leaving with the takeaways? Is everybody going to leave here today with something new? You guys know this is the teacher in me. I always have to follow up and make sure that everybody got what they needed.
I think being within a group and just having somebody to relate to on the weight loss surgery is extremely helpful, because then it doesn't feel like I'm just rattling around.
Agreed.
Very true.
I'll say this until the day I die. Support is key. I've been through 2 other surgeries that did not have support. We didn't have this kind of a community when I was going through my surgery, and it failed. I didn't fail, but my surgery did not work. And I also felt alone and desolate. I didn't have anyone to turn to. No one in my life knew what bariatric surgery was. So I promise you, keep showing up to these things, show up to our lives, ask us questions, find friends in the community, because this is important.
You segued that perfectly, Natalie. Right? How you can help the community, grow the community, be an active member, share, participate. And if you'd like, you can even become a patron of East to West. But just coming to these things and connecting with others is what it's all about. I mean, that's where the magic lies. All right, you guys, because you come to the VBM, you get a sneak peek at what's coming up in the month ahead. And our support topic for September is back to basics, because Jason, Natalie, and I are all very much needing to get back to the basics. So we're going to be focusing on our 3 pillars of success: movement, mindset, metabolic wellness. We're going to talk about why movement is important, how we find motivation. Spoiler alert, motivation's bullshit. You just have to do it, and then the motivation comes afterwards. But we're going to talk about all that. And then how we can find joy in movement. With our mindset, we're going to be talking about our bariatric brains and committing to the bariatric life. And then for metabolic wellness, we're going to be talking about tracking and the gut-brain connection. So all kinds of really great stuff coming up there. We don't have a date yet for the September VBM because we have some questions for you guys. So if you wouldn't mind spending a minute just giving us some feedback really quickly on this forum, we would appreciate it. But moving into September, we would really like to know, are weeknights good for you, or are weekend days better for you? Do you enjoy it when we have a special guest, or do you just enjoy this forum where we get to just kind of connect with each other on a deeper level? And then are there any topics that you would like to see when we're talking about back to basics that you don't kind of see listed here? So you can unmute yourself, or yeah, write it in the chat. Oh, can you guys see my screen?
Weeknights. I
Yeah,
can.
I think weeknights are pretty much, yeah.
Awesome.
And then we got
Discussion
one
and
for
special guests.
both, yeah.
Okay.
Ah, see,
Okay.
really enjoy these too.
You
Awesome.
mean they like us? They really like us?
Well, that's what
Are
I was
you
saying.
sure?
I've been getting feedback from a lot of people that have
I
been
know.
saying that they love having us just in this way where we can just sit and talk and hang out. It's a better connection. So
Yep.
I love the guests
agree.
too, but I also love us just being able to hang out, and especially getting to hang out with our people, because you guys make all of this happen for us. So we love it.
Agreed.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop.
Hi, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that, you know, I love both formats. Like, it's great to be, I didn't say anything today, but it was great hearing you guys and learning from all of you. And I love it also when there's guests, because, you know, there's always something to learn from someone. So